Hello, everyone. My name is Smith Zaveri, and I warmly welcome all of you today to the very first episode of our Foodpreneur series called The Mantras of Foodpreneurship. So, what is this whole series about? So, the fundamental objective of Mantras of Foodpreneurship is to simply add value. It is to add value to all the foodpreneurs of our country, be it an existing entrepreneur or a person who has just started their business in the food industry, or even a simply fresh graduate who has a good product in their product idea in their mind, but they're clueless about how to make it into a real and successful business. So we at AFSTI intend to help all of you achieve the success in your ventures in the food industry. So, and we'll be talking in depth about the details about the Indian food industry and how there are amples of opportunities in our Indian food industry. And the main reason for that is that us Indians, we just simply love our food, right? Like food is very special to our heart. And food is not just a combination of proteins, carbohydrates, fats, vitamins. It is not just a calorific value. Food is much more than that. Food for all of us is an emotion. Our food, it affects our mood. We all want to just enjoy our journey of, from the first bite to the last bite of our food. And for this very reason, the Indian food industry is on a constant rise. It always is in demand, and it is very dynamic in nature with constant innovations in the industry. And for that, the foodpreneurs who want to get into the industry, it is very significant for us to know about the do's and don'ts of the industry and to know about the various strategies to employ during the various stages of the entrepreneurial journey, like right from the raw material sourcing to product development to manufacturing of the product to inventory management, supply chain, manufacturing, and finally collecting the payment from your client. We will be covering as much as we can about the journey of a foodpreneur in today's session. And to guide us, we have our guest, Mr. Manohar Chitri. But before that, our president, Dr. Shivaprada Nishtala, will be introducing and will be giving the welcome address.
Thank you very much, Smith. That was a lovely context setting to what we are attempting to do. On behalf of the AFST Mumbai chapter, I'm delighted that we are initiating this venture, I should say, where we are reaching out largely to the young food scientists and technologists. AFST Mumbai is one of the oldest chapters of AFSTI, the Association of Food Scientists and Technologists of India, which is headquartered out of Mysore. We are a very well-connected, well-knit group of scientists and technologists who have, over the last 70 odd years, been working towards creating a better network and outreach of food science across industry, across regulators, across all the stakeholders there are in the food industry. I'm very happy to see the support of many of our past presidents who've joined in today. A hearty welcome to all of them, Dr. Prabodh, the representatives from headquarters, who all are other chapter members. A special welcome to Colonel Gahitule, who's the Regional Director for FSSAI for East and Northeast. Thank you very much. You're joining us today, Dr. Naitre. All your presence is very heartening to us because this is a very unique initiative we've started off. AFST is familiar to most people. We have a good connect in bridging academia and industry and representing on various scientific panels in the regulatory framework. This is slightly different in that we felt that given the entire focus from the government of India on Atmanirbhar Bharat and the fact that we keep talking about innovation and having our young food scientists start off on their own, we've also seen a multitude of courses start up for creating entrepreneurship at a young age. We thought we should harness the knowledge that we have in our ecosystem and start showcasing some of the successes who became successes via a fairly long journey of discovery of failures, of learnings, of successes, and help the young entrepreneurs shorten their journey of reaching where they want to. And it's really, I think, the best person that we could start off with. Our Bhishma Pitama, as we affectionately call Chitale sir. Rarely will you meet a person who is so knowledgeable in food science and at the same time so committed to mentoring and developing everybody around him. I myself have benefited greatly from his knowledge and mentorship and continue to trouble him for inputs. And I think I'm president only because of a lot of inputs from Chitale sir. So thank you Chitale sir for agreeing to be our first Shri Ganesh Karne ke liye. We hope that this sets a benchmark. I'm sure it will set a benchmark for all future sessions to follow. So with that, with a very warm welcome to all the participants who joined us and are watching us live on FB, I hand this back to Smith to take it forward.
So thank you very much, ma'am, for your inspiring welcome address. Now I would like to introduce Mr. Manohar Chitade. So like ma'am said, Mr. Manohar Chitade has 50 plus years of industrial experience in the food industry. And we are very eager to learn from the learnings that he has had over these years. Sir is currently the director of FBO Consultancy Technical Services, which is a company founded in 2011, and it will be completing its 10 successful years this October. The company has a clientele base of over 20 plus companies on an annual contractorship, and in the past, Sir has worked in product development, QC operations, project implementation, and various top companies like HLL Food Research, Dr. Writer's Food. And Sir has had consultancy experience in the food regulatory segment of top companies like Dow International, Procter & Gamble, Garda Chemicals, and many more. And one of the milestones of Sir's career is that he has been the executive director of PFNDAI, which is Protein Foods and Nutrition Development Association of India. Sir has played a pivotal role in popularizing the industry-based NGO in our country. And Sir has an immense journey so far. And Sir, I would like to ask you, how did your food industry journey start? And what inspired you to get to study food technology?
If I can interrupt, Chitale sir, if I could just, briefly interrupt. I would like Dr. Prabodh Halde to add a little bit to Sir's introduction. He has joined us today, and I think no better person placed to speak a little bit more about Sir's achievements and Sir's role in all our lives as a mentor. Dr. Prabodh, if you could quickly, in a few minutes, please speak to Sir.
Yeah, thank you everyone, and I think it is a wonderful. Chitale sir, namaskar.
Namaskar. Just glorify नको करू.
So I'm privileged that Chitale sir is giving his insight of his experience close to the 50 years. He has qualified food technologist in year 1964. Many of us may not have born in that time.
69 Prabodh.
No, 64.
मत करो मुझे.
So even 69 is also, sir, many of us has not born that time.
Not many, most of them. Only one or two might have born of the audience.
Yes. And he is the product of ICT, UDCT then. And only one word about Chitale sir, as Shubha said, Bhishmachari of food technology. Many of us are the product of Chitale sir's legacy. I personally take this as a privilege that I have been trained under Chitale sir. Whatever I am today in the AFST is just because of Chitale sir and many other who are the veteran in the AFST. But his guidance, his support, his discipline. I think he has one style of working is the speed to manage and adaptation of the new skill. He was not aware about the computer, but he has adopted the computer. He was not aware about the regulation, but in last 12 years, he became an expert in regulation. Friends, this is one of the aspects we as a new generation should learn. Whatever you don't know, don't say no, learn that. I think Chitale sir and his engagement with the younger is more than the elder people. That's why it keeps him engaging and young at heart. Sir, look forward for your talk, and I request Dahitullah sir, who is the director of FSSI of Northeast and Eastern region, to say about our program, and then Chitay sir can start his fun. Thank you, Chitay sir. Look forward.
Okay.
Dahitullah sir.
Thank you, Dr. Prabodh.
Thank you, sir.
Colonel Dahitullah sir, if we could hear from you a couple of words. Yes, sir. Hearty welcome.
Yeah, thank you so much. Firstly, a very warm good evening to all of you. With region. I asked him just one question. Have you been to Chitay milk industry and how you... So basically that's a benchmark we see in Eastern region. And it's really my privilege to be here once again. What I will sum up in Eastern, that is the 14 states which I am looking after, Northeast and Eastern, things are developing fast, but still feel requirement of, we have some dairy plants there, very less, one plant, smaller state with just 7,000 liter processing capacity. So when I hear that, I feel very bad about it. So I wanted some insight how to develop, how to make it more interesting, how to have our IEC properly, because that will help me in fanning out in especially Assam. So that's all. More rather than speaker. Thank you so much for giving opportunity. I've just landed in Pune and wish you all the best for this seminar.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Pramod. Yes, we can meet. I am also in Pune. So how long are you there in Pune?
2 weeks, sir, I'm there. So I would like to definitely drop in and look you up.
Yeah, sure. We'll meet sometime next week, Tuesday, Wednesday or so. Yeah. Okay. Yes.
Right. Thank you.
Yeah, Shubha. Go
Thank
ahead.
you again, Colonel Dahitullah. We are really honored that you could join us today. Back to you, Smith.
Shubha, you have to give credit to me. It is me who I actually requested sir to join.
सर प्रबोध सर आपको क्रेडिट देना शुरू किया तो फिर पूरा सेशन ही खत्म हो जाएगा. So
no credit for enough people. Shubha, no credit for enough people.
Yes, absolutely.
Only thanks. That's all.
Yes, a heartfelt thanks. And to everyone, including Sukhada, she's
yes,
done
yes.
a good job in putting this.
She has also done a good job. Yes.
Yes, Smith.
Yes,
sorry,
Smith.
no more disturbance to you.
No.
Okay.
Over to you now.
Yes.
Yes, sir. So I was saying, see, you have seen the industry and you have had a great experience. And so we would like to know what inspired you to get into the food industry and how did your journey start?
You see, I'll tell you, if you want to know why I joined food technology, that was because there was no choice. When I applied in 1966 for a UDCT seat, I was offered only food technology as the option. There was no other option to be taken. That was a BSc Tech course, which was 3 years after BSc. So then I met Professor Regi, who was HOD at that time. He told me, if you are interested in doing food technology seriously, join us. Otherwise, go and continue your employment, because I was already in employment at that time. So then I said, okay, I'm joining, and I joined food technology straight away. There was no other information available because nothing was available. No media was available to go. Google was not there. So there was no search engines and all that. So I trusted Professor Regi and joined food technology as the degree course. That's all. Then after that, he immediately asked me again, second time, after 3 years, in 1969, when I had completed my final year exams and all that, he called me and said, are you interested in continuing MSc Tech and further postgraduates and all that? I said, no, nothing doing. I'm going for a job immediately. Then he asked me to go and meet Hindustan Lever Research Center people, directors there. I met them. They said, okay, fine. You wait for the result. And the next day you join us. That was the process. There was not too many interviews and exposure to other industries and all that. But in Hindustan Lever Research Center, I worked on foods. I worked on animal feeds. I worked on prawn culture. I worked a little bit on perfumery evaluations also. So that was my wide scope, which made me a versatile person for the subsequent career of my life. I worked there for about 14 years, and since there was no growth for a food technologist, I was the only food technologist in the organization, entire organization countrywide. But they were winding up the food business in India, Hindustan Lever. So then I thought there's no point in continuing here. So I switched over from R&D and project works to project management. The first management was Dr. Reiter's Food Products. They had they wanted to start a chocolate industry. So when I joined there, it was a field, it was an agricultural field which I converted into non-agricultural, then started working with architects, electrical engineer, mechanical engineer and all that, and coordinated, and within 1.5 years, we went on stream to produce chocolates. We were having technical collaboration from Jacob Suchart's. So I traveled Switzerland and other chocolate plants in Europe, saw them, how they work and all that. Unfortunately, that unit, Dr. Reiter's couldn't take head on with these at that time. And so they had the financial setback. Even then, they were continuing for till 1980. From 85, we started the production, and 86, 87, I left them to take up another project on soya milk and soya beverages. That was too early a time in 87, 88. That was also in collaboration with Basilac from Denmark, Soya Technology Systems from Singapore and all that. There were 4 or 5 international agencies covered together, and it was the engineering company for erection and commissioning of the plant. So I continued there from 87 till 92. And then when my children went out for education to engineering colleges outside Ghaziabad, that was in Ghaziabad, UP, there was a pressure from me to come back because only me and my wife were so far away from our other relatives. So we came back to Nasik, tried to revive that Asian foods, Asian dehydrators and all that, couldn't succeed. So ultimately I joined in 97 or 96, I joined PPF India, Protein Foods and Nutrition Development Association. I retired from there at 2004 at the age of 60, then started my own consultancy with so many other multinationals. By that time, I had known all the top key persons individually. So when I retired, they said, why don't you join us? And with Dow Chemicals, I was there till 2019. So 2019, I told them that now you are not in food business, neither in food additive business. Why are you paying me unnecessarily? So then we discontinued, though I know everybody there very well. Only thing is, I can claim that I have left each organization with goodwill. Goodwill, definitely. So that's my achievement in the life so far. Wherever I have done, I have kept good remembrances with everyone that I left with. Yes, this is how my career in the industry.
Yes, sir, that's a very wholesome and inspiring journey for all of us present here.
Yes.
And so now you're currently the director at FBO Consultancy and Technical Services. So what is the story behind this? How did you start this company?
How did I start? This is strictly a partnership company. I and 2 partners, we were having breakfast together at my residence in Thane in 2011. We already had toured the FSSAI with FSSAI officials to train the different state food inspectors into the new regulations, expose them to the new regulations of FSSAI Act. That time there was no regulation, it was only the Act. So abreast them with the Act and train them from their own, because most of them were not food technologists. So imparted them basic knowledge of food science and technology, the engineering processes, the drying processes, the preservation techniques, then some chemistry with carbohydrates, proteins and fats and all that, the basic knowledge which generally will be useful for them to go and assess the product, microbiology, food microbiology, all that. So myself, we were all together, a team of 4 or 5 people from AFST Mumbai chapter. went around to Trivandrum for Kerala people, to Chennai for Tamil Nadu food inspectors, to Gujarat for Ahmedabad for Gujarat people, and but they went to Assam and Northeast also to train them. I didn't go there because I was too old for that to travel so much in a day or two. So that is how we started, and we realized that the regulators were also not fully aware of what are the regulations in place, the interpretation of them, the implementation of them, the enforcement of them. So then I thought, okay, we three thought, why not we float a company, and we formed a partnership company, FBO Consulting and Technical Services. We picked up the word FBO, which was coined by FSSAI. Since they had not trademarked, so we could do it. If they had trademarked, we couldn't have done it. So that FBO stands for Food Business Operators. That's all. Consultancy and technical services. So that is how we formed it in 2011. It's a partnership firm. We still have the headquarters at my residence in Thana, but currently it is all locked. Nobody is staying there. So only thing is my neighbors keep the letters that are received from there on behalf of FBO. So this is how we have two food technologists with us, an accounts person, and whosoever has joined us earlier in 2011, we had one Mr. Shankar Chitare, who is now in as a unit in charge for their vegetable processing in Bangalore. Then the next one was Mr. Rahul Megha, who is now with he is the sales executive now there in that organization. Then we had one Rasika Nachne. She is with what is that company name? She is with an expert in I forgot the fiber company. So she is also the sales manager there, technical expert manager there. So those who have worked with us have got promoted and done fairly well in their life in the industry. So that's how we do. We train the people and see that they are well placed later on after 2-3 years working with us. That is how the journey is of FBO CTS or FBO Consulting Services company also. We provide all the licensing support, the labeling support, then the auditing support. We fill the gap audit. We do GMP, GHP audit, but we are not registered certifying agency, and we don't want to do that also. That's not our cup of tea. We do product development as and when it comes to our clients only. We don't go all out and sell ourselves as a product developer. No, we don't want that. We are contented and growing with a speed of about 10 to 15% year over year. That's what we are happy with that.
That's great.
And that is why we don't have any WhatsApp, any page on Facebook or Instagram or any other social media. We are not even on Alibaba and other people also.
Okay. So how do you handle without social media in today's time?
I keep on trying with, I have a habit, I'm a good talker basically.
Okay.
And I spend a lot of time on calling on phone.
Okay.
So I personally call to all our clients at least once in 3 months. And that they feel it happy to talk to me. And sometimes there's no work. We just check about weather, everything, how are the weather and all that. And then I casually ask, are you happy with our services? That's all.
Okay. That's great, sir.
So most of the clients, I have a personal rapport. Even my team also now has a personal rapport, because I am developing those two girls to take up further from me now.
That matters the most, the personal relation with your client.
Yes.
Yes. So moving on further. So when you started in 1960s, and how was the food industry then, and what is the difference that you see between the food industry then and the food industry today?
Okay, I'll give you a brief idea. In 1971, entire food industry was restricted to a small scale sector. And the large players, the big industry players like at that time Cadbury was there, Unilever was there, Lipton was there, were there. They were not permitted to increase the production capacity. So they had to shut down or freeze their production capacity, and the market was growing, the population was growing, the awareness was also there. So that is how we have a lot of what you call it as satellite units for bakery industry, for flour industry, like that. Then for instant mixes also, because you have to have the flour, you have to have the sugar, you have to have the yeast, you have to have the malt, you have to have the yeast, you have to have the malt, you have to have the sugar, you have to have the yeast, you have to have the malt, you have to have the sugar, you have to have the yeast, you have to have the malt, you have to have the sugar, you have to have the yeast, you have to have the malt, you have to have the sugar, you have to have the yeast, you have to have the malt, you have to have the sugar, you have to have the yeast, you have to have the malt, you have to have the sugar, you have to have the yeast, you have to have the malt, you have to have the sugar, you have to have the yeast, you have to have the malt, you have to have the sugar, you have to have the yeast, you have to have the malt, you have to have the sugar, you have to have the yeast, you have to have the malt, you have to have the sugar, you have to have the yeast, you have to have the malt, you have to have the sugar, you have to have the yeast, you have to have the malt, you have to have the sugar, you have to have the yeast, you have to have the malt, you have to have the sugar, you have to have the yeast, you have to have the malt, you have to Liver had that Hima range of idli mix, vada mix, green peas, all that range was there. Their plant was in Ghaziabad, and since because the capacity was frozen, they couldn't expand it. So then they were not interested in that. So they sold out their technology to all small people and trying to make premixes and other products which are convenient. Pickles was also there, because otherwise Kisan was largest in tomato cake, and then Peas was largest in pickles. But their capacity was not there. So they said, okay, let us close down the business. So that is how it is. It was there, and then the fruit industry flourished, because with investment of about 1 crore and 2 crores and all that, people moved up very fast. And we have a lot of regional players coming in the food industry now. You will find every district has a pickle factory, every district has a masala factory. Yeah. Some of them are national, no doubt about it. But every district has that. Every district has a bread unit. Every district has a glucose biscuit unit. Every district has a flour milling unit. Maybe 50 tons a day, but that is there. And everyone is making good money out of it.
Yes, sir.
And in 1992, when the government changed and they opened up the industry, then all the smaller people are facing problems. Over a period till 1992 to 2000, even though the government opened the food industry for foreign direct investments and all that, industry didn't take it so pleasantly. They waited for 10 years to make sure that the government is insisting on that, and they continue to support that plan, so that they don't go back. We set up the investment and they go, nahi, again, small scale mein jana hai. So that is why industry waited for 10 years. And after 2000, we had a lot of food industry developments in large scale plants. Then we have Keris coming up. We have IC growing phenomenally large capacities. We have flour mills to the tune of 2,000, 3,000 tons a day of processing wheat. So all this came up between 92 to 95 after the investments were planned and all that. Then what do we do with the smaller units? If you go to Khopoli and other areas, you will find at least 7 to 8 mills, flour mills are closed down. They have no business, because you can't fight commercially with such difference of scale of operation. Okay, then has expanded their marketing, their capacity to 3 or 4 fold, which they had in 70s. Same thing with Cadbury's have started their 3 plants in chocolate making. In fact, the Thana they are converted into R&D center now, which was their major plant for the nation. So like that, the developments are happening and will happen to be. Now we have automation coming in food industry. But the essence is what food technologists are required to run the machines. You can't depend on a person who is 12th graduate to run the machine which is automatically run. The understanding of the process done automatically should be there with food technology. So that is how I feel that food technology or food technologists particularly have a good future, provided they are serious and sincere in their learnings.
Correct, sir.
Yeah.
Yes. So like you said, the food technologists, many of them are aspiring to become food entrepreneurs today. So
Yes.
So what do you think are the exciting segments and which have a good scope in the future for product development?
For an entrepreneur, first thing is they should not have any domestic liability. That is one thing. They should not fall back and say, I have to earn so much to support my family. Once they are freed, then they can work faster. Then they can have the dedication, they can have the sincerity, everything in that. Without that, you can't. Unless you have a very peaceful mind without any liabilities, back-end liabilities, you cannot devote your time. Then because then if you have a target that I must get 10,000 rupees every month to support my family, it's not possible. So when you go out of graduation, you take food technologies, either BTech or any other degree, you take it from any other college. While you are studying in the final year or third year, you must watch what is the need of the industry and the common people. Then only you can survive and make that plan. There are marketing companies available. You don't bother about marketing at the moment. No, not entrepreneur should study on bother about marketing. You find so many marketing companies there In fact, everyone will be happy to have one or two more products in their baskets. Definitely. You have Amazon now, which is ready to accept anything and everything that is available.
E-commerce
So-
is booming right now.
So that is what I said. You have Amazon,
Lockdown.
Flipkart, Big Basket. So many e-commerce platforms are available. Only thing is your product should sell. Promotion will sell first time. The second subsequent sales will come only by the performance of the product to the consumer. That's all, nothing else. So concentrate on product. Have some unique sales propositions for your product,
Correct.
and do it sincerely, with dedication.
Great, sir.
You must dream it. You should have dreams first. You
Yes.
should dream and then convert that dream into reality.
Yes.
While sleeping, I advise that while sleeping, the young person should sleep with a dream in mind. Then they can visualize in the dream how that dream will develop after 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, 7 years. And then they will, in the morning, they will have fresh mind what to do to realize my dream. That's how I worked. Even I still work on that.
That's great. Sir, so for our foodpreneurs who are aspiring to get into the food industry, many of our viewers present here today are from the Mumbai and Maharashtra region. Sir, so what would you say is the speciality of our state in terms of the raw material supply, in terms of the food technology facilities present here? What is the speciality of Maharashtra?
Maharashtra speciality is the traditional food. Even I'll tell you that even Arabs have adopted Maharashtrian food now in their basket. They were saying that we'll change Indian children to have American breakfast, which they miserably failed after 3 generations. And now they have started Upma. So they will come out with other things also. I won't be surprised if comes out with frozen batata vada and idlis. So be ready to make frozen batata vada, frozen idlis, so that you have companies like they won't invest in their plants. Nobody will invest in their plants. They said enough investment, but they will outsource and promote under their plan. But at least your capacity runs on, your overheads get covered. You may not end up in any profit with such giants working with, but at the same time you can promote your product as another brand slowly.
Yes.
And then give a tough time to them.
That's great.
Yeah.
Sir, so while starting a business for a food entrepreneur who's aspiring, the most important thing is capital, paisa. It is the most important thing. Sir, so what would you suggest for an aspiring foodpreneur who's clueless right now? How will I garner capital? What are some funding opportunities and what are some government schemes which will help people who want to start up their own business?
I'm not aware of government schemes, but there are many government schemes available now from Ministry of Food Processing Industry. Even they grant some money which is non-refundable. The grant is not refundable. It's not a loan. So Ministry of Food Processing Industry grants some money to go and study the overseas market also. So if they go to that extent, they will definitely support the small scale industries. That's the plan. And I think is an expert in that, so he can throw more light. You can take him as the next person on this series, so that he will talk to you on fundraising and other things. I'm not an expert in that because I have never borrowed or loaned anything.
Okay, sir. Sir, so once they gain the capital, however they gain, sir, so they would have the product idea. So what would you recommend for a starting entrepreneur? Should they go directly into manufacturing of their product or should they do contract manufacturing outsourcing?
Initially, they should try with contract manufacturing. They should not invest at all. There are many plants available with spare capacities. Correct. In fact, in Pune, there was one person who has set up a soya milk plant. Okay. Soya milk and soya paneer. He has at least 50% spare capacity. So anybody can go and use. He will be too happy to use his capacity and make at least break even. Correct. So there are many plants like that.
So contract manufacturing is the way to go. There would also help us.
Yes. Contract manufacturing, but only thing that you need to take care in that contract manufacturing is that you should, every time when you take a production, you should be present there.
Right.
The entrepreneur or the food technologist who is starting the business should be there. Otherwise, you will get what he wants, not what you want.
Correct. We should be there to check the quality of the product. Is it being
Quality, even production also, supervise the production, pack the product and keep it.
correct? Correct.
And whenever necessary, lift it from there in packed conditions. So that one thing is your formulation of product things is with you, the confidentiality, IPR property, whatever it is, it's not leaked. Otherwise, he will work for you for 2 years and then say, no, nothing doing. Now I have learned enough. I will do it on my own.
Correct.
And then he will be back on road again. So that should not happen.
So we should be cautious about that.
We should be cautious. That is, I mean, we have Indian practice is non-ethical. So we should take care of all these small points while negotiating with the. But large industries are not bothered because they sell on their promotions and advertising, which smaller people can't do.
Correct.
Yeah, that is the reason.
Yes. Sir. So once a person they produce a product, so you must have also gone through this phase. How do you gain the confidence? Yes, I have the right product now.
First, your family members should like the product.
Best.
If the family members like it, say family members, I covered only real family members, mother, father, sisters, brothers and all that. Once they like it, go beyond, take the relatives, chacha, mama, bhanja, bhatija, grandparents and all that. And if they also like it, expand it. Slowly you have to expand like that and then go to the market.
Yes. We ask people, ask our relatives, friends.
Yes.
They're honest
yes.
with you on that. Yes.
Honest.
Yeah. Great, sir. Sir, so
If they like it, if you can eat your own product at the price that you pay, then everybody else will like it.
correct.
I'll tell you that we had in Ghaziabad when we were working it, when we were developing soya milk in a small pouch, not the Tetra Pak and all that. Our chairman at that time said, that time there was rickshaw pullers, not auto rickshaws and all that in 80s. So he said that if your rickshawala buys your product at 3 rupees, then your product will be successful. So you see that he can buy it. The product becomes affordable to a rickshawala because that's a highly exhaustive job to pull the rickshaws
Correct.
in the summer season and all that. So if he finds, okay, chalo yaar, time mein hai 10 minutes, ek jaake soya milk ka pouch leke pee lete hai. So if he can afford 3 rupees, then it's good. Otherwise, you will not succeed. And we didn't succeed.
That's
Ultimately, the entire plant was converted into a regular dairy.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's nice. So the scalability, like a product which would, cater to masses, would be great, like in the future.
Yes.
Yes. So our food industry, food market is very huge. And the thing with our food products is that most of them are perishable in nature. Sir, so how should foodpreneurs who are in the production phase, they should plan their production and inventory, and how should they manage their inventory so that they can minimize unnecessary wastage and unnecessary costs?
That's a management principle. Yeah. Efficiently managing the things and reducing the costs, financial costs, is your profit.
Correct.
Yeah.
So
So you have to take care of entire factory, good hygienic practices, then manufacturing practices, packaging materials. All this has to be taken care of, so that you get adequate shelf life of the product.
Correct.
And when you are increasing this, I'll tell you, to be very frank, I had come across one Mr. I don't remember, doctor was there. He had a factory in Nasik. He was making jams, sauces, tomato sauce and chili sauce and all that, and squashes. He had a factory. He never came to Mumbai till my business with vehicles. They will carry the product and bring back the empty packagings. So he was using the transport was very effectively to minimizing his costs. He was reusing the bottles. He was reusing the cartons. So then he said, whatever I saved was passed on to the consumers, to the retailers or distributors. So that's why you make market. So that is why you have to be contented also sometimes, not too what you call it, too over ambitious.
Yes, sir. So you mentioned about retailers and distributors. So how does the supply chain of the food industry function, and what are something that the foodpreneurship should be cautious about? Like they do not fall into disputes or problems with their during forward integration of the businesses.
First thing is you should not give anything on credit.
Perfect.
That's all. First thing. But that's not the practice. The trend is at least one consignment is on credit to the distributor. We don't bother about retailers. Distributor, you appoint the distributors, give him enough margin. The current rate of margin is between 12 to 18 or 20 up to 20.
Okay.
Your MRP is out of 40% of the MRP goes in the distribution channel. Either distributor and then subsequent retailer and the GST and taxes. They take care of about 42%, and what is left is only 52 or 55% of the MRP. Within that, you have to manage your raw material purchase, packaging material purchase, processing cost, labor cost, power cost, everything, and profit also. So that's the game.
Yes.
So if you succeed to get the distributor at 10% margins, you are very happy and lucky.
Okay, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, and speaking about the regulatory side of a food industry, which you have a
Yes.
mastery at. So for a basic foodpreneur who just is entering the food industry, where should they go to gain the significant regulations of the food industry? Gain access.
I think Shubha is conducting a course on regulations and diploma course. Shubha, correct? She is on mute. They are conducting FSSI is conducting a 6 months course on certificate course for graduates, maybe of any graduates, on FSSI regulations. So first thing is it's on weekdays, it's on Wednesday or Thursday, 2 days a week, and online. So people can join that and get them learn it. Even students can do it as a side by activity rather than roaming around in the evenings.
Right.
Yeah,
That will be very
they can
valuable
complete
for
that
them.
course, which will become an added qualification to their curriculum.
Correct.
And they can definitely get, even in placements also, it will be very useful for them. Or they can start their own consultancy and become a competition to me.
That would be very difficult, sir.
हाँ?
वो तो थोड़ा मुश्किल है, but yes, the
क्यों?
course.
मुश्किल तो नहीं है. मुश्किल तो नहीं है. They may take longer time to grow because we feel the need. That's why we grow faster.
Yes.
Isn't it? So they will definitely get the business. So many of them are there in the market at the moment. Yeah.
Yeah, sir. So moving on, sir, like there's a famous saying, the government of India loves two types of people the most. One is the Indian soldiers, and the second is the Indian exporters who export the product to the market. Because one of the biggest benefit that Indian exporters get is that they do not have to pay local GST on the products that they export. Sir, so what would you advise to the foodpreneurs so that they could go global for local?
Global for local. Then first thing is they should travel. Go to the country where they want to sell the product. Study their food habits of the people and try to fit in products which will be accepted well there. Then they can start the exporting. Otherwise, I have come across so many food people, good food manufacturers, they export everything and anything to Dubai. What happens is, the Dubai importer reprocesses that material and sends it at a much higher value to Europe. So we lose that market and the margin.
Correct.
You see, a lot of mango pulp from here go to Dubai. Lot of prawns from here, India goes to Japan. They don't consume to that extent. They process it further and export it to US and Europe and get the double or triple the price. So all these people, all the real exporters, those who are interested in exporting should understand what they do and try to do it and get the better margins.
Correct. Okay. Sir, now coming to the packaging side of our food industry, sir, ऐसा famous कहावत है कि जो दिखता है वो बिकता है, right? So, sir, what are your stories about deciding about the packaging strategies for your food products that you have developed? What are few hurdles that you have faced, and what are some of your learnings in packaging?
Packaging, we have faced a lot of problems in packaging, particularly in Ghaziabad, because chocolates are stored in air-conditioned atmosphere, so there was no much difference in packaging. But in Ghaziabad, we had faced a lot of problem during particularly the summer season, because we had packed even dairy milk with 21 days shelf life at room temperature way back in 90s, and they are still doing it now also. The problem was the mosquitoes pricking the product, pricking the pouch, and the pouch bulging up. Okay, so that was the problem basically, and then there were a lot of complaints and all that, but we streamlined everything on that, and now the complaints are also reduced, because we said we will not repay you or give you the replace the damaged product. So there was no display at the counter, but there were danglers and display boards of the product at the counters in retail shops. The product was kept in the refrigerator. So that is how we overcame the problem of replacements and damage and bad name and all that. At least which was milk, product like milk, which is highly perishable. Packaging plays a lot of importance. You should have your primary packaging basically, which is seen by the consumer. If you are going into the consumer product, your primary packaging should be very important, and should be very well attractive also. And you must somehow convince the retailer to have a showcase for that. And he can do it only when he gets better margins from other products. That's all. Then only he will sell, because it's the retailer who sells the product rather than anybody else. He can make the product succeed, or he can make the product a failure.
Yes. And we have to give them proper margins. So that
Proper margins, and they should trust you. All marketing business is on trust. And first you can do it by promotions, one free on one and something like that. But subsequently, the product should get the consumer back to buy the same thing.
Okay.
So you should provide something else in the product than your competition.
Something unique.
Yes.
Okay. Sir, so speaking about something unique, so currently there are many trends about veganism, plant-based products, plant-based foods. So what are your thoughts on such trends which are, slowly taking momentum in the food industry?
Plant-based products is a new thing. We have to wait for another 3 years to see how they perform in the market.
Okay.
Yeah, they will not replace the non-vegetarian food at all.
Right.
They will not.
So
But
like there is vegan chicken. So
vegan chicken, but you see, if those vegetarians who have not tasted chicken anytime, for them it doesn't matter whether it's a pakoda or veg chicken.
Yeah.
Isn't it? It doesn't matter what name you give. If they like the product, they will buy.
They will see if it's...
Because they have not tasted chicken or meat anytime, or egg also anytime. If that is the case, then it doesn't matter whether it's vegan or not. They should like it. That if they like it, they will pick it up, they will buy and enjoy.
Correct. Sir, and about veganism, sir, is there a problem with, like, is milk very good for us, or like how is it beneficial for our body, or the people who are moving towards veganism, is it good, sir? What are your thoughts, sir?
Well, I am a vegan person. I am a vegetarian. I won't call it as vegan. Vegan means you are not taking milk and milk products also. That will deprive your nutrition also. I don't think any other product will replace milk and milk products.
Yes.
Yeah.
The nutrition that milk gives us, it's really...
Because I had worked with soya milk, I had worked with chocolate also. Chocolate with vegetable fat also. But chocolate with cocoa butter has better nutritional value than vegetable fat. Because cocoa butter gives a lot of micronutrients and some health benefits, which ordinary fat doesn't give, unless it is fortified and made something else.
Right. Okay, sir, and in today's times, like especially since Corona, people want to have as much as healthy food possible. So,
What do you mean by healthy food? One
healthy food.
healthy food may be healthy to you. It may not be healthy to other person. It depends upon the constitution of every person, different.
Exactly. So,
And your
so
food habits. What you eat in the morning, what you eat in the midday and lunch and dinner and snack time. So all that comprises of what you are healthy or not.
correct. So, like you said, this is the constitution of food. So, people, so the many foodpreneurs, they are fortifying their food products with many vitamins and minerals. So, what is your thoughts on the food fortification industry, sir?
You see, I'll tell you that when I was with Protein Foods and Nutrition Development Association, I had worked with so many government agencies for on fortification of flour with atta and so many other things. Once you cook the product, how many nutrients are retained and how much, what is the level of ingestion? Nobody knows. You may fortify your oil with vitamin A, D, E, mandatory things. But when you take a fried product, when you heat the oil,
Hmm.
how much remains? How much is consumed during by a fried product? Nobody knows. Very little.
Right.
Very little. I mean, let's not get bogged down by the government policies, which are more populistic and all that. That's my personal view. Huh? Don't
Uh-huh.
translate it to a nutritionist. She will get wild. And if anybody is a nutritionist here in the audience, I apologize them. These are my personal views.
Okay, okay, sir. So one final question. Since it is mantras of foodpreneurship, what is this one mantra which you would like to give to our foodpreneurs today, which will help them to be the future leaders of our food industry?
The young foodpreneurs should first start dreaming what they want to do after 5 years from which they are today. Even if they are employed, I would say that okay, you plan your life for 5 years phase. We have 5 year plan for the country. You have 5 year plan for your life.
Okay,
Then dream for that. Then once you dream it, you will definitely get ideas during their sleep. Try to judge them whether they are feasible or not feasible. If they are not feasible, think alternatively, and then start your project with dedication, sincerity.
great.
Then failure is far away from you. You will not fail at all.
Great,
जो
great, sir.
जो अच्छा काम करता है ना उसको पैसा कम ही नहीं पड़ता.
बस शिद्दत से काम करना चाहिए तो और कंसिस्टेंटली करना
Yes,
तो मिलेगा काम.
yes. True to you. Be true to yourself. Don't fool yourself. That's all. You can fool others, but the moment you started fooling to yourself, then there's no growth there. You'll be stagnant. That's all. You'll find so many excuses to avoid the work.
Yes, sir. Very true. Very, very true.
Huh? Try to find solutions rather than find excuses.
Wow. Okay. Solution. Rather than whining, we should find the solution to the problem and move on.
Yeah. See, every problem has a solution. Definitely. You have to search for it. You can't give up.
Wow, sir, great. It has been a very inspiring and an enriching experience for us today, sir, listening to you. Sir, now I'll move on to the audience questions. So the
Okay.
first, yes, sir. The first question we have received is from Professor Anuradha Shekhar. She asks, is it better if you start up in a group or as a single owner?
It depends upon your attitude. If the team is good, that we started with a team, and you all the entire team cannot be on the front side. So you have to decide who should be on the front face of the organization, who will back up, and the conflict comes there.
Okay.
If you have a team of 4 people, then one person will. Then there should be division of responsibilities and proper coordination. Then only it will succeed. Otherwise, it will not. Like we are 3 of us, but I take the lead. I have taken the lead for 10 years. I take the decisions and I force on them. Sometimes they don't like it, but they say, "आपने लिया है ना, चलो हम मान लेते हैं." So it happens like that. It's not every time they agree with me. Sometimes they do differ also, but they have an understanding that ये किया है तो अच्छे के लिए किया है. So that is how it should work like that.
So the
The trust and faith in the teammates should be better.
Yes, sir. Correct, sir. So the next question that we have received from the audience is that, is it everyone's cup of tea to become an entrepreneur? And what
Not
does
everyone's.
No.
Not everyone's. You have to understand yourself whether you are fit to do it. I didn't do it till age of 67 because I was not fit.
Correct.
And then once we decided to do it, then I said, okay, chalo yaar, jump kar lete to तैरना पड़ना ही पड़ेगा. Then I have to swim, so I swam. That's all.
सर अभी आप गोल्ड मेडल ले लिया आपने स्विमिंग में सर.
हाँ. So
Sir,
then once you jump it, then you have to swim in, and you should swim it successfully, no problem.
Correct, yeah. Sir, and so what does it take? In your experience, sir, what does it take to become a successful entrepreneur?
Risk, patience.
Risk and patience. Wow.
Risk and patience. If you take the risk, then you have to take the patience also so that you overcome that risk.
Correct.
Peacefully and patiently.
Okay.
We have an audience member, Mr. Narayanan Ramasubramanian, who would like to say a few words to Chitesh sir. Can you unmute yourself and...
Hello.
Hello. Can you hear
Hello.
me? Can
Yes,
you hear
I
me?
can hear. I can hear.
Thank you. Chitle Saab, this is Ramani. And
Oh, I got misled, by itna lamba naam sun ke.
I wish to tell the audience that I am also from UDCT, almost a decade younger to Chitle Saab. Chitle Saab is a repository of food science, food technology, the entire knowledge that we all know about it. But one aspect which I want to say two things about Chitle Saab very quickly. One is that he has always treated me with great respect all the time, and he meets me with a lot of love and enthusiasm and things like that. I really thank you, Chitle Saab, for that. Point number one. Point number two. Point number two is I have seen a very few passionate food technologists like Chitle Saab. He's an extremely passionate food technologist. Number three, the most important point. Whenever I feel, oh, मैंने बहुत कर लिया क्या? Then I look at Chitle Saab. I said, no, I have not done anything. Chitle Saab is going on and on. So I will also go on and on. So I have always been telling everybody, and also Chitle Saab, that he has been truly an inspiration for many food technologies, of course, and to me especially, yes. And I will go on and on. And thanks to you, Chitle Saab. And thanks to you, if I am born again, I would like to be a food technologist again. Thank you so much, sir. And be there for your great health. And imagine this person had a huge setback in his life, but he has dusted himself off and he has got up and then again on his great mission. Hats off to you, sir. And God bless you with all the health and happiness.
Yeah.
I'm greatly indebted to you. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, Ramani. Thank you for your compliments.
No, it's my duty to pay those compliments. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. So, how was your experience today, sir?
It was good. I'll just add something, my new venture. I'll tell you to be very frank. When I was talking about dreams and all that, when I was with PF India, I had a dream of starting up my own analytical lab somewhere around in 95, 97, 98. But in fact, I contacted a couple of my friends and we decided, we had a letterhead also made, printed and all that. But somehow or other, we couldn't spare enough time to promote and start that activity. So we gave it up. Then I decided, okay. Then I came across with Dr. Nilesh Amrutkar, who owns Network Care Labs. So he had a good facility for testing water, gas, soil and all that. I said, why don't you enter into a food lab, food analysis? He said, I don't know anybody in the industry. I said, okay, let's travel. I traveled with him for 3 years with the countries and expo and introduced him to so many other companies. And immediately got the businesses because there was a gap actually between good lab to test food practices and ethical lab. There were labs. No, they will test one sample and subsequent sample they used to copy on the same reports with 2-3% variations in the results. That is still continuing. I would not like to give the names of that. But that is how then I said I was very happy. I'm still associated with him for that lab. And that was that, okay, pura nahi to thoda to mera dreams pura ho gaya. Then later on, I worked with so many other companies and all that. Then I had another dream of setting up a sensory evaluation lab as a service center to analyze the products, food products particularly, for the industry purpose and sell them the service. Like I'm doing regulatory services, these are the sensory analysis services. So I have joined another company in Pune, Yogi Foods Private Limited, and we have our own sensory evaluation center in Pune. So we have started it, we are publicizing it, and we have started getting some projects from the industry also. So we are in touch with ITC, Vista Foods, then Marico. So we'll get some projects from them to start with the sensory evaluation, trying to promote sensory science and all that. That is one thing. Then simultaneously, we have already during COVID sessions, we have conducted webinars to most of the colleges in Maharashtra, creating awareness about sensory sciences, trying to promote to students to take up this as a training course, which adds to your qualifications, and requesting industries to take these certified people so that you can have your in-house sensory evaluation panel, independent one. So that's our further plan for the next 3 years now. To get, like we have tea testers, we have alcohol testers, we have wine testers. I would like to create food testers, maybe separately for dairy products, separately for cakes or bakery products, separately for beverages. So that's a dream that I have. Well, I hope it will get fulfilled.
Definitely. Sir, it is very inspirational to know about your journey, and even at this stage, you are thinking about what to do next. And
Yeah.
yes, sir. It is very inspirational and it has been a very enriching session for us today, sir. And we thank you for your invaluable time, sir. And the knowledge.
Oh, it's always pleasure. You can count on me anytime, no problem.
Yes, sir. So
yeah, I would like to play a role of a joker. When you can't make a sequence, you put me in. Your sequence is ready in the cards. If you play the cards, you will know.
So now I would like to call upon our Vice President of AFSTI Mumbai, Ms. Chinmay Devgaonkar, for the closing remarks.
Yeah. Hi, Chinmay.
Hello, sir.
Good morning. Hello, how are you, Chinmay? Good morning.
Good morning. Sir, I won't be exaggerating if I say that you are the, Bhishma Pitamaha of Indian food industry. Am I right, Smith? Do you agree with my comment?
Definitely. Yes.
Yeah, so it's like you have been an inspirational source for all of us. And Chitle sir, the way Dr. Ramni sir said about, he's passionate and other thing. I remember for every small thing, Chitle sir also expressed that he call a person. And I know that whether it is birthday wish, whether it is compliment, whether it is guidance, it is never WhatsApp message, it is always a call. That personal touch is something which the new generation needs to learn from Chitle sir, that how you can be, with close contact with the customer. That is something, Chitle sir, which I feel that this new generation is losing, that personal touch, WhatsApp message, and one thing is, Facebook and other thing. But what you do, Chitle sir, is something outstanding. And I think this is a legacy that everyone should carry apart from the talent and your inputs. Fantastic. And I think today's inputs were also on not just from product development and other things, but also on when someone wants to invest in your company, what do they look at as an investor? So there it is not about just the product, taste and other thing. Investors has got different eyesight for if they want to invest in your company. So Chitle sir's inputs I'm sure everyone got that gist, that what does an investor look, for your expansion. Thank you so much, sir. आणि मला म्हणजे मराठीत जर सांगायचं म्हटलं तर माझ्याकडे माझ्या स्वतःसाठी पण खूप म्हणजे एनरिचिंग सेशन होता. म्हणजे ऑल्दो आय एम वर्किंग फॉर अन ऑर्गनायझेशन, पण मला पण कुठेतरी असं आपल्याकडे बघून वाटतं की येस, ॲट वन पॉइंट ऑफ टाइम ऑल्सो आय शुड बिकम एन एंटरप्रेन्योर. सो थँक यू फॉर गिव्हिंग अस दॅट. Yeah, so and AFSTI नी ही जी सिरीज सुरू केली आहे, I think it should be.
I wish all the best. I wish best of luck for this series of AFSTI Mumbai chapter. Yeah. We are known to take some initiatives separately.
Correct. I agree with
And
you.
every year the initiatives are different. They are not repetitive. That's a good thing.
Right. And together as we all as a team with Nilesh can providing inputs on the funding, you providing on the
Yeah.
technological aspects, Shubha on the training part. So we are it's a full complete organization, complete association wherein you ask one question and then you get a complete reply which is required for the business. So
Yes.
I won't take too much of time, but अगदी मनापासून धन्यवाद सर म्हणजे
अरे
खरोखर मला पण छान वाटलं. Meet you were great in the way you asked the question from one topic to another. I think you covered everything. And Sukhada, thank you for all this activity. Prajakta for all this social media marketing, and everyone who is Nilesh for giving the for anchoring this session. So thank you so much, sir. Chitesh sir, खरंच
thank
मनापासून
you.
धन्यवाद.
Thank you. Arik Smith,
हाँ sir.
you flash my contact details so that those who are interested to contact can contact me. No problem.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Great.
sir, I'll type it in the chat box.
Yeah, you type it in the chat box or on the screen also. It doesn't matter.
Okay, sir.
आमची जनरेशन खूप लकी आहे सर दॅट वी हॅव मेंटर्स लाईक यू. खरोखर आम्ही खूप लकी आहोत.
Done. So thank you very much, sir. It was
That's
really,
okay.
yes, it was really
Yes.
enjoying, and thank you for the knowledge. And sir, one thing
yeah.
I'd like to say, like you have left us all with positivity, and throughout the interview, you had a very ever smiling face and a joyful face. And you have filled our hearts with positivity, and I'm sure many people are inspired here today to pursue their journey and become a foodpreneur and become a successful foodpreneur.
Yeah. Okay, all the best to all the participants. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Very good.
Stay safe.
Thank you. Thank you, Shubha.